The events take place in Edinburgh, Scotland. Arriving at the courthouse, Anna Dean struggles to contain her emotions. But she must endure this. Craig Myers' condition is no better, and he's barely hanging on as well. The judge entered the courtroom, announcing the hearing open. 6 months earlier, 28-year-old Craig Myers, a bus driver, was invited by his boss for a drink at a bar. Craig declined because he had promised his wife he would be back early. Meanwhile, Anna, a nurse, finished her shift at the hospital. She was visited by William Napier, one of the patients who had relapsed into his addiction and missed a doctor's appointment. Anna told William that if he acted like a victim, people would treat him as one, and she gave him a comforting hug. On the surface, Anna and Craig seem like ordinary people, but something connects them. At home, Craig's wife Rebecca and their 6-year-old daughter Jessica were waiting for him. It was Halloween, so Craig, like any good parent, went trick-or-treating with his daughter in the neighborhood. Ben asked the mother for permission to go out with his friends, but she firmly said no. Anna's husband, Lenny, thought she was being too strict with their son. Anna's daughter, Louise Graham, wished her mother a good evening and left with her boyfriend. Craig's best friend, Tom Carpenter, accompanied him, hoping to meet a girl. Tom had been searching for a partner for a long time. Ben's friends came to pick him up. Anna handed out candy to the kids. The doorbell rang. Craig opened the door, and a man in a creepy costume attacked him, beating him severely before fleeing. In the present at court, Craig is suing Anna, who is accused of inciting unknown individuals to harm him. In the past, Inspector Stephen Grover arrived at the crime scene. Rebecca and Jess were very frightened. The inspector reassured them. The worst was over. Or was it? Craig was in critical condition. Rebecca, weeping all night, stayed by his hospital bed. Suddenly she received several messages from friends who sent her a link to an anonymous post online, calling for Eddie J. Turner to be punished for taking Liam Graham's life. Rebecca was horrified to see a photo of her husband in the post. In tears, Rebecca called Inspector Grover, saying that people online were calling Craig Eddie Turner and accusing him of terrible things. The posts, which had amassed hundreds of thousands of views, also included their home address. Stephen Grover told Rebecca to stay put and do nothing until he arrived. Craig finally regained consciousness. Fortunately, he understood what was happening and where he was. Rebecca was simply relieved her husband was alive. Craig couldn't comprehend who might have done this to him. Inspector Grover entered the ward and immediately asked Craig if he recognized the name Liam Graham, who had passed away at the age of 9. Another boy, Eddie Turner, only 4 years older, was responsible. The case had caused a massive public outcry. The crime had no apparent motive. The trial was closed to the public, so no one saw Eddie Turner's face, but his name was accidentally leaked online. Eddie Turner received a life sentence but served only 7 years before being released. The court granted him anonymity under the law. Learning that someone had posted his photo online, claiming he was Eddie J. Turner, Craig couldn't understand who would do such a thing or why. Inspector Grover assured him that the police were investigating it as thoroughly as they were investigating the assault. It was assumed that Eddie Turner had moved to Wales. Grover instructed his assistant, Lisa Harvey, to gather more information and assigned security to Craig's ward. At this point, even Grover wasn't sure if Eddie Turner and Craig Myers were different people. At the very least, Craig was the right age. But the police only had one old photo of Eddie Turner, making it impossible to determine the resemblance based on appearance. Anna often watched old videos of her late son, Liam Graham. He had been a kind and curious boy. Alas, his life was cruelly cut short. Inspector Grover and Lisa Harvey visited Anna to discuss the incident. She denied any involvement but expressed relief that people hadn't forgotten her son. The inspector planned to speak with Anna's ex-husband, who was in prison. Louise Graham, a law student, wanted to be present during all her mother's conversations with the police. Louise's boyfriend, Danny Callahan, arrived. When he learned that the police were at the house, he became nervous and quickly left. In the present at trial, Inspector Grover stated that the account from which the post was published was created under a false identity. The cybercrime unit had spent considerable time recovering access to it. In the past, Detective Grover asked Anna to come with him. Tom visited Craig in the hospital at the first opportunity. It seemed that this was only the beginning. Craig assured that he was fine. After all, he hadn't done anything wrong. Tom replied that sometimes that doesn't matter. Anna was taken to the police station for questioning. Inspector Grover was interested in her deleted account. Anna refused to comment on anything. However, the inspector knew that Anna was dissatisfied with how the law had treated her after the tragic demise of her son. Perhaps that had driven her to take justice into her own hands. Now Anna was being held on suspicion of a crime that could lead to a life sentence. She couldn't believe it. After all, Eddie Turner had taken her son's life and served only 7 years in prison. Anna regretted letting her son go out alone that fateful evening, even though it was still light out. Liam just wanted to buy stickers, and Eddie Turner had taken them as a trophy. Since Eddie pleaded guilty, the trial had been swift. For Turner it was long over, but for Anna as well as Liam's father and sister, the torment continues to this day. Now Turner had been given a new name and a new life, and Anna couldn't come to terms with that. Inspector Grover reminded her that Turner's parole conditions didn't allow him to enter Edinburgh, but Anna was sure that wouldn't stop him. When asked further questions, Anna refused to answer. Grover continued to insist that an innocent person had suffered because of her actions. Anna remained unconvinced. She still believed that Craig Myers was Eddie Turner. Tom, like Rebecca, didn't leave Craig's ward. He, by the way, remembered something. The man who attacked him had whispered the same phrase that was written in the post. At the trial, Anna's lawyer, Solomon Mishra, stated that there was no substantial evidence linking the online post to the attack on Craig Myers. Grover countered, noting that only 2 hours had passed between the post being published and the assault. In the past, Anna was provided with a lawyer. The police confirmed that Craig Myers and Eddie Turner were two different people, which gave grounds for Anna Dean's arrest. It remained unknown who the person in the Halloween costume who attacked Craig was. The inspector formally charged Anna. She still didn't want to believe this was really happening. Anna was released until the trial. Lenny was ready to support his wife no matter what. The inspector promised Rebecca and Craig that it would all be over soon. If anyone repeated the accusations online, they would face the police. Anna was on the verge of a nervous breakdown, while Craig was slowly recovering from his injuries. Louise and Denny directly asked Anna if she was the one who posted the message. She had to admit that she had. Anna believed she was doing the right thing by trying to punish the man who took her son from her. But Anna didn't know who had attacked Craig. Louise was very angry with her mother and would not talk to her. Now Anna could only hope that the court would side with her. Ben found an article online about his brother's tragic demise. Grover once again failed to get in touch with his old acquaintance, Kathy. The chief constable advised him to act more delicately. It would be better if this case didn't draw media attention, as Anna was also a victim. According to the chief constable, Craig Myers would receive compensation. Grover felt this wasn't enough. Craig was an innocent man with a wife and 6-year-old daughter, so they had to ensure safety for him and his family. But the chief constable didn't change his stance. Lisa invited Stephen to have a drink with her and their colleagues after work to unwind, but he politely declined. Instead, Stephen found Katie and once again urged her to tell the truth. Years ago, Katie had falsely accused him of inappropriate conduct, but she had no intention of admitting it. Finally, Craig was discharged from the hospital. He was happy to return home. Solomon Mishra advised Anna to plead guilty. It was the only way to secure the lightest possible sentence. Otherwise, based on all the evidence, Craig Myers would most likely win the case. However, Anna still believed that Craig Myers could be Eddie Turner. She wanted the public to know the true identity of the monster who took her son's life. Rebecca understood that their lives would never return to normal. Craig couldn't stop thinking about what would have happened if Jess, not him, had answered the door that night. The sound of the doorbell startled the couple, but it was just Inspector Grover, who stated that Anna Dean was the prime suspect. Craig didn't understand why he was the one targeted. As a parent, Craig sympathized with Anna, but that didn't give her the right to ruin an innocent man's life. In the present, Rebecca testified at the trial. She stated that their lives had not returned to normal. On the contrary, everything had only gotten worse. In the past, Anna ultimately decided to plead not guilty. Now in court, Anna's lawyer asked Rebecca how well she truly knew her husband. In tears, Rebecca admitted that both she and Craig had unhappy childhoods, which was why they avoided discussing the past. She acknowledged that the husband hadn't always been completely honest with her, but that didn't make him a bad person. Anna was ready to do whatever it took to ensure that the person who took her son's life would pay the price. After the first hearing, she crossed paths with Craig in the courthouse and couldn't hold back her emotions. Craig couldn't understand what he had done to deserve this ordeal, but he knew he had no choice but to face the trial. Tom advised Craig to tell the truth, just like that. But Craig wasn't sure he was ready for that. Anna visited Liam's grave. He was taken too soon. This should never have happened. Posts featuring Craig's photograph labeled as Eddie Turner were still circulating online. Moreover, Craig had started receiving threatening letters. Tensions began to rise in Craig and Rebecca's relationship. She was tired of hiding, while he preferred to keep a low profile until the public uproar subsided. Also, Rebecca intended to tell their daughter the truth. The Myers family decided to have lunch at a cafe. Unsurprisingly, passers-by made disparaging remarks about Craig. Jessica said that her friend's parents had forbidden them from associating with her. Craig felt like he couldn't handle it anymore. Anna contacted private investigator Mo Buckley, asking her to find proof that Craig Myers was in fact Eddie Turner. It was Mo Buckley who had initially led Anna to Craig, But she never expected Anna to resort to violence. Anna continued to insist that she didn't know who exactly had attacked Craig. Grover discovered that on the day of the assault, Anna had several phone conversations with private investigator Mo Buckley. In the present at the trial, Mo Buckley testified. She had initially been convinced that Craig Myers and Eddie J. Turner were the same person. In the past, Anna had asked Mo to reveal how she had obtained this information. Mo reluctantly admitted that it had come from a former juvenile detention warden. Anna demanded that Mo find real evidence. Buckley hesitated, knowing this could end badly for her. At the trial, Ella Mackey, Craig's lawyer, asked Mo to explain what she had discussed with the defendant during their 24 phone calls. Mo denied that Anna had asked her to uncover Eddie J. Turner's new identity. Of course that was a lie. Anna was deeply grateful to Mo for her help. But why did Craig have to suffer because of this? Grover was still trying to get in touch with Kathy. Unexpectedly, the chief constable ordered Grover to take on another case, while Detective Harvey would continue investigating Craig's case. Clearly the constable wanted to resolve it as quickly as possible. Grover couldn't understand why no one cared about the real victim, Craig. The constable reminded him that after Kathy's accusations against him, he was lucky not to have been dismissed entirely. Grover was advised to be more agreeable with his superiors. However, Grover didn't want Craig to go through false accusations as he had, so he visited Anna's ex-husband, Christian Graham, in prison. Christian immediately realized that the inspector shouldn't be here. For years, Christian had thought about revenge against Eddie Turner, but he wasn't involved in the attack on Craig. Craig's boss temporarily suspended him from work to protect the transport company's reputation. Additionally, Craig continued receiving threatening messages from unknown numbers. Rebecca was very anxious about sending her daughter to school. When her husband called, she learned that someone had posted his phone number and email online. William regularly visited the hospital, fighting his addiction. Anna was always kind to the patient, and he was clearly flattered by this. Anna received a message from Mo stating that the warden had agreed to meet. Denny was nervous about the upcoming hearing, where he would have to testify about the night of the attack. Some suspected that Denny was the one who assaulted Craig, but this wasn't true. No matter how hard Craig tried to hide the threatening letters from his wife, the truth came out. Inspector Grover promised to handle the situation. Rebecca was exhausted. In a short time, their family's life had turned into a daily nightmare. Now they couldn't even go to the store and had to rely on delivery services. Rebecca believed that if they could find real Eddie Turner, it might make the public leave them alone. But Craig didn't want anyone else to get hurt, even if it was a former criminal. Grover was unhappy with how Detective Harvey was handling the case. She should have at least arranged security for the Myers home and questioned Anna's ex-husband in prison. But Lisa saw no need for this. Grover couldn't understand why everyone seemed to forget who the real victim was. Anna and Mo met with the former warden, who now worked as a cook. He explained that Eddie Turner had been quiet in prison. But Mo was unsettled by the fact that Turner had a cellmate who, according to the warden, could theoretically also be Eddie Turner. This meant that Craig Myers might be innocent. Anna, however, remained convinced that Craig's story would fall apart when he testified in court. Tom thought Craig shouldn't testify because he was too calm and wouldn't be able to counter Anna's lawyer's attacks. But Rebecca insisted they follow their lawyer's advice, not Tom's opinion. Ella Mackey prepared the couple for the upcoming hearing. Craig knew he wasn't good at such things, but he had no choice. Anna's lawyer would likely seize on anything to cast doubt on Craig's identity. Rebecca was already questioning who her husband really was. Could it be that Craig was Eddie J. Turner? After all, her husband had never spoken about his past. The court might not care whether Craig was Eddie Turner, but it mattered to Rebecca. Craig admitted to his wife that 5 years ago, when he was out with Tom, they were confronted by a guy, which led to a fight. He was given a warning but not charged. Craig had decided to hide this from Rebecca, but he told her now because it would likely come up in court. Craig just wanted Rebecca to know that he wasn't Eddie Turner. Anna knew she couldn't back down anymore. She had been waiting for revenge for 15 years, and she had no doubt that Craig was the guy. Mo would also have to defend this position. Inspector Grover reminded both of them about the presumption of innocence. They had ruined an innocent person's life out of selfish motives. Anna was still not under arrest only because the public sympathized with her, and the newspapers wanted to profit from the story as much as possible. Craig Myers was ready to testify in court and took the oath. Craig was an ordinary worker and loved his job. But sometimes, he felt like something was wrong with him. Rebecca found information online about Liam's demise. It was every parent's worst nightmare. Craig called his wife and said that he had been fired after 8 years of flawless work. In the present, Craig states in court that after the false accusation, his life began to fall apart. It doesn't matter what he said because people had already decided that he was guilty. In that tough moment, Rebecca supported her husband, saying that she would find a job. But when Rebecca tried to talk about his childhood, it angered Craig. In court, Solomon Mishra stated that due to the head injury, Craig Myers may have distorted memories of the day of the attack. But Craig knows for sure that he is not a liar. Some time ago one evening, a brick was thrown through the Myers window. In court, when Anna's lawyer began to ask about Craig's childhood, he didn't like it. Craig categorically refuses to talk about his childhood because his parents always didn't care about him. Anna wants Solomon Mishra to ask Craig about his identity while he is under oath. Craig shouted for her to ask herself. Anyway, everyone believes their version now, and no one can say for sure where the final truth lies. In any case, Anna is determined not to let Eddie Turner get away with it. An unfamiliar person on the street was following Craig, while Anna learned from her lawyer that Craig had received more compensation for his injuries than she had for Liam's death. Solomon Mishra advised Anna to make an effort to gain sympathy from the judge and jury. Craig, who was looking for Rebecca, simply walked past the pursuer. A month earlier, Craig and Rebecca's relationship had started to worsen. It was a very difficult period for both of them. Ben began misbehaving at school. Relations in the family also became tense overall. Jerry Tate, the former detective who investigated Liam's case, also attended the hearing to support the Deans. Ben's parents were called to school. The boy had started skipping classes. Also didn't like that his parents didn't tell him much. Lenny didn't hide from their son that there was a possibility that his mother would be sent to prison. But nevertheless, both Lenny and Anna continue to insist that she did the right thing. All of this was for Liam. Anna testified in court, taking the oath. Her lawyer decided to emphasize that Anna works as a nurse and considers caring for people her calling. Craig knows he must protect his family by any means, but the threats against them are becoming increasingly sinister. Rebecca is very worried and intends to take Jess away before the trial. Hearing this, Craig couldn't hold back his tears. Was his wife leaving him? In court, Anna didn't hide that she was glad when she learned about the attack on the person she considers Eddie Turner. Anna still feels guilty for letting the son go out alone that fateful day. Anna also doesn't hide the fact that she had deliberately tried to figure out Eddie Turner's new identity. In the past, when his wife left him, Craig would get drunk at the bar. Of course, many people recognized him. To avoid conflict, Craig was going to simply leave, but two men followed him and beat him up. Inspector Grover is the only one who cares about Craig. Grover shared that his wife left him 6 months ago after a woman named Kathy falsely accused him of improper conduct. Grover knows the truth about himself, but others don't. Anna is grateful to Jerry Tate for supporting her family. When she stopped appearing at the hospital, it made William nervous. Anna asks Jerry, as a former detective, to find out more information so that everyone else will also believe that Craig Myers is Eddie Turner. Jerry revealed Eddie Turner's social worker's name to Anna, Judith Morbury, which Anna then shared with Mo. Now Anna wants Mo to find out where Judith Morbury is currently seeing clients. It's a big risk for Mo's career, but Anna was very insistent. William's behavior is becoming more and more nervous. At one point the guy started smashing everything around him. Right during the hearing, Grover received an important phone call. Craig decided not to attend this hearing. Tom doesn't hide the fact that he likes Craig's lawyer, Ella Mackey. But clearly Craig has no time to think about that. No matter what he does or says, people refuse to change their opinion about him. Tom advised his friend to start a new life somewhere in England because it would be impossible for him to live normally here. However, Craig doesn't want to move away just because he's been falsely accused. Inspector Grover arrived at the hospital, where William had caused a scene. The whole time the young man was calling for Anna Dean. Craig eventually showed up in the courtroom. The jury was presented with a video of Anna's interrogation, during which she shouted that she was glad about the attack on Craig Myers. This proves that Anna deliberately incited others to harm Craig. At the same time, the inspector asked William why he felt that Anna had betrayed him. Anna declared that she couldn't let everyone forget how much Liam had suffered. Craig was very uncomfortable hearing that. Grover realized that it was William who had attacked Craig Myers last Halloween. He tried to convince the young man to testify in court that Anna had incited him to attack Mr. Myers. Anna continued to adamantly deny knowing who had attacked Craig. She insists that as long as Craig, Eddie Turner in her eyes, is free, other children are not safe. Grover was persuasive, telling William that Anna's obsession was ruining other people's lives. Grover argued that this was the way to help Anna. Anna doesn't understand why the judge sees her determination to make Eddie Turner's life miserable as something wrong. She is convinced that the court doesn't care about people, forcing them to seek justice elsewhere. While Grover was convincing William to come forward, Anna declared that she had no doubt that Craig Myers was Eddie Turner. Before delivering the verdict, the judge urged the jury not to consider any sympathy or disgust toward those involved in the case. This trial is not about determining Mr. Myers' identity but about deciding whether Anna Dean is guilty. Mo met Judith Morbury in a cafe. Before the verdict was announced, Anna received a phone call that came as an unpleasant surprise. She and Lenny immediately went to their son's grave. Someone had desecrated his monument with the initials E.J.T. Anna sobbed, convinced that Craig had done it. Later, she received a call from Mo, who said that Judith wasn't entirely sure whether Myers and Turner were the same person. Maybe they were, but maybe not. The whole situation had strained Louise and Danny's relationship, which upset the girl. Then, noticing yellow paint on Ben's shoes, his parents realized that he was the one who had vandalized Liam's grave. Anna was furious, unable to understand why the son had done this. Unlike his wife, Lenny wasn't surprised. Because of Liam, who had been gone for a long time, Ben had lost his mother. And Anna, playing the victim, had given Eddie Turner complete power over their family. After all, Eddie Turner was also just a child when he committed the act. Anna couldn't believe her husband thought this way. Lenny was ready to forgive Eddie Turner, but Anna wasn't. She refused to admit that the problem was her. Lenny was told that forgiveness was the only way out. They couldn't bring Liam back, but they could move forward for his sake. Liam would have wanted that. Vengeance wasn't working. But Anna believed Eddie Turner didn't deserve forgiveness. That's where their conversation ended. Anna went to her ex-husband, who had recently been released from prison, and shortly afterward, Jerry visited the Dean household. Jerry advised Louise to stay away from Danny Callahan because he was the one who had found Liam's body. However, Danny didn't report it to the police, and officers had spent hours trying to get a statement from him. Louise felt like the ground was slipping out from under her feet. Had Danny deliberately gotten close to their family? Anna was devastated and now wanted only one thing: to drink. Ben received a message from someone asking him to come to the garage. The boy quietly left the house and met Danny, who tearfully said that soon everything would come out and people would speak badly about him. Danny couldn't stay, but he wanted to see Ben one last time because he had grown attached to him. Anna isn't ready to let go of the past because for her, that would feel like betraying Liam. Mo started following Judith. Craig, on the other hand, is trying to figure out what to do with his life. Anna feels that as long as Eddie Turner lives peacefully, she simply won't be able to move on. And Anna has no doubts that Craig Myers is the one who took Liam's life. Anna is also convinced that Eddie Turner regularly meets with the social worker at the cafe. If she could prove it, all questions would disappear. Anna also wants Christian to help her punish Craig. Mo was shocked when she witnessed not Craig but his friend Tom meeting with the social worker. Mo smoked a lot, trying to process what she had seen. Could it really be that Tom Carpenter is Eddie Turner and that all this time she and Anna have been ruining an innocent man's life? Mo decided to tell Anna about it in person. Anna simply couldn't accept it, accusing Mo of lying. But Mo knew the truth and refused to reveal Eddie Turner's real identity to Anna. Anna begged Mo to do it for Liam. Mo said Liam had nothing to do with this. What mattered now was that they had destroyed Craig's life. Today the court is expected to deliver a verdict. Anna's thoughts were jumbled. Mo couldn't take her eyes off Tom. The jury found Anna guilty of attempting to take Craig Myers' life. Solomon Mishra requested Anna's release on bail, citing her large family. The court agreed to it. Anna left Christian a voicemail stating that Craig Myers is not Eddie Turner. Despite everything, Anna's daughter and husband did not turn their backs on her. Meanwhile, Craig went to see his daughter from a distance while she was at school. Because of the false accusations, Craig had lost everything. Anna admitted to her family and lawyer that she had been wrong about Craig Myers. Solomon Mishra advised Anna to meet Craig and apologize. Perhaps if they reached an agreement, it could save her from prison. But to do so, Anna would have to officially acknowledge that she was guilty and that Craig was the victim. Craig received a call from the inspector informing him that Anna had been found guilty by the court. When Danny called the dean's home phone, Louise snatched the phone from Anna and then ran off. Anna was puzzled. Lenny explained that Denny was the one who found Liam's body. The chief constable was displeased that Grover had independently interrogated William and suspended him from duty. Meanwhile, Denny and Ben were cleaning Liam's gravestone. Louise came to get her brother and asked her ex-boyfriend to explain why he had kept the truth hidden for so long. Denny assured that he had tried to leave the past behind, but the memories wouldn't let him move on. Denny hadn't told Louise the truth because he was afraid of losing her. And Denny hadn't taken Ben away from home, the boy had simply followed him. When the children returned, Anna hugged them in tears. Lenny joined the embrace. The lawyer told Craig about Anna's intention to meet him. Tom didn't understand why Craig had to do this, as he was the victim. But the lawyer explained that this way, Craig could negotiate compensation. Unable to bear it, Craig broke down in tears in the restroom. Learning that William had been hospitalized after attempting to harm himself, Anna visited him in the hospital. William felt sorry for causing trouble. Anna didn't want to believe that William was the one who attacked Craig. The guy intended to take full responsibility, but Anna was against it. Later, Anna received a message from Christian, who promised to find right man. Today Anna is set to meet Craig in person. Lenny is very proud of his wife. Anna arrived earlier than Craig. This gave her time to gather her thoughts. Finally Craig arrived. For Anna it was incredibly difficult to find the courage to look him in the eye. Simone Marshall acted as a mediator for reconciliation. Anna shared that all these years she had missed her son deeply and couldn't find peace until everyone knew the identity of the person who took Liam's life. Several weeks before Halloween, Anna received a tip that Eddie J. Turner's new name was Craig Myers, which prompted her to make a post. At that moment her hatred was at its peak. Anna knows that after losing her son, she will never be the same. Since then, she has only seen the worst in people. But that doesn't justify ruining Craig's life. She is truly sorry. Anna wanted Eddie Turner to stand trial so she could get an answer to the question, why did he do it? That would have brought her relief. Listening to this, Craig could barely hold back his emotions. Because of Anna's actions, his 6-year-old daughter didn't feel safe in her own home and had to defend him to other kids at school. No apology could bring Craig's old life back. In tears Anna kept repeating how sorry she was, begging him for forgiveness. Craig in turn kept saying he needed a break. At one point he lost his composure and shouted that he wasn't Craig but Eddie J. Turner. That's why he was here. You can't run away from yourself. Anna was utterly shocked. Suddenly she received a message from Christian saying he had found Eddie J. Turner. Unable to stay here any longer, Anna hurried to leave, though she was barely able to stand. Meanwhile, Tom met Judith at the cafe, unaware that Christian was sitting behind him. Ignoring calls from his ex-wife, Christian was waiting for the right moment to exact his revenge. He had nothing left to lose. Anna in desperation kept trying to call him. Christian was just about to attack but was interrupted by a waitress telling him his wife was on the phone. Craig or Eddie was left alone with his thoughts. Inspector Grover visited him, wanting to know how the meeting with Anna went. When Grover realized he was speaking to Eddie Turner, his anger was boundless. All this time the inspector thought he was fighting for justice, but it was all for nothing. Anna met with Christian, who suggested she tell everyone who Craig really was. Anna didn't expect to find a note from Craig in her bag with his phone number. She intended to call him because he was the only one who could tell her what really happened. Christian, unlike Anna, wasn't ready to learn the truth. Tom, who knew everything, wanted Craig to finally tell the wife about his past. Craig admitted to her that he learned to lie because it was the only way to survive. When Rebecca learned that her husband was actually Eddie J. Turner, she was horrified and ran away. Craig stopped her, asking her to listen. He deeply regretted his actions, but the past couldn't be undone. All these years only Tom knew the truth about him, as they had been cellmates. Now Craig wanted to move far away and start fresh with Rebecca. He loved her and Jess more than anything. But of course Rebecca had no intention of going anywhere with him. Lenny didn't pressure his wife to share the details of her meeting with Craig right away. Anna told her husband how lucky she was to have him. That same evening Anna apologized to Ben. They hugged. Later, Anna called Craig and told him she would be waiting for him tomorrow at 10 a.m. He already knew the place. Liam had his whole life ahead of him, but it was cruelly cut short. Both Anna and Craig were equally nervous about this meeting. 15 years had passed, yet both of them seemed stuck in the past. At the agreed time they met under the bridge where Liam had perished. Anna came for answers. And she was ready to listen to Craig, or rather Eddie. Only this could bring her relief. Eddie explained that his parents didn't care about him, so he just sat there under the bridge, cutting his palm on a shard of glass. Eddie hadn't been looking for a victim deliberately and certainly hadn't chosen Liam. It could have been anyone. When Liam saw Eddie, he said his mother was a doctor and that he could call her to bandage Eddie's hand. Hearing this, Anna broke down in tears. Eddie remembers shouting at Liam to go away. Liam was a kind boy and just wanted to help Eddie, who still had the shard in his hand. Now Eddie cries, not understanding why Liam didn't just leave. At that moment Eddie was overcome with boundless rage. He still cannot explain his actions. All this time Christian had been watching the conversation. Eddie still couldn't forgive himself. He didn't know how to live with this, feeling like he didn't have the right to be happy. At one point Eddie noticed Christian with a knife in his hand. Eddie wasn't planning to run. Now Anna was faced with a choice, to let Eddie live or to let him die. Eddie was ready to accept whatever decision she made. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.